right. Hello. We will just give it a few minutes to let some people trickle in. Oh my God, it just jumped from like 11 to 20 so quickly. Okay. Welcome, everyone. We'll just give it a minute or two to let people trickle in. But we just wanted to start off with an icebreaker question. So if everybody could put in their favorite animated TV show, animated movie in the chat, that way we can familiarize ourselves with each other. That would be great. Oh, I love Tangled. What's it doing? I haven't seen Arcane, but I really want to. Ooh, these are good racks. I really like Chicken Run. I don't know about anybody else, the original one. Everybody likes Arcane. Oh, Blue Eye Samurai is good.
Oh, there's like an Arcane boba pop-up in LA if anyone's
Really?
gonna go. Yeah, it's in Boba Bear in K-Town. So they have like
Oh, I
these
love
cool
that.
like
Yeah,
cups
yeah, yeah.
for the Arcane stuff.
Oh, that's so cool.
Mm.
Have you been?
No, I wanted to go probably this week. See how
Maybe
it
I'll
is.
take a field trip there. If you're just joining, we're putting in our favorite animated TV show or animated movie in the chat if you would like to participate. All right, well, I think we have a pretty good group, so we will go ahead and get started. Excuse me. My name is Sochi Torres. I am the program director for the Arts, Media, and Entertainment High Road Training Partnership, which is an initiative led by the Brick Foundation that's bringing together education partners and training partners with employment opportunities within the arts, media, and entertainment space in California. I'm so excited to be moderating this panel today, which is Apprenticeships and Animation with the Brick Foundation. During my time here, I've gotten the opportunity to work on Brick's apprenticeship program and get to meet some of the amazing apprentices like we have here today. But before I introduce everybody, first of all, happy National Apprenticeship Week to everybody, where we celebrate apprenticeship programs across the US. So I'm so excited to be here today. So really quickly, I just wanted to give a presentation about Brick's apprenticeship program before we dive in and hear from our panelists. I'm going to go ahead and try to share my screen. All right, can everybody see my presentation? Great, okay, so welcome again. What is Brick's Apprenticeship Program? So Brick's Apprenticeship Program is a federally and state recognized program that combines paid on-the-job training with mentorship and job-related academic instruction, which we refer to as related supplemental instruction. And it's meant to support 18 to 24-year-olds and veterans looking to work in animation, visual effects, and gaming. So it's 12 months of mentorship, a minimum of 6 months of paid on-the-job training, 144 hours of that related instruction that I mentioned, so it's free academic training. And then at the end of your program, you do receive a certificate of completion that is equivalent to a college degree. Who is eligible to apply? Current California residents, so you could either be a California resident now, or if you are going to become a California resident by January 2025, that is also acceptable. If you are between the ages of 18 to 24, or if you are a veteran, and that you are authorized to work in the US, and a foundational knowledge of one of the available career tracks listed on the next slide. We have CG generalist, so animator, rigger, modeler, concept and visual development artist, game designer, production manager, storyboard artist and revisionist, tech artist, and visual effects artist. Awesome. Well, we will go ahead and go into our panel. So why don't I have the panelists introduce themselves? So I'm going to go with Sherry first.
Hi everyone, my name is Sherry and I am a Break Apprentice. Currently, I'm a CG journalist trainee at DreamWorks. I've been working at DreamWorks since this summer and it's been a great time. I went to school at Brigham Young University in Provo, Utah, and I major in animation. And yeah, that's basically my background.
Awesome. I'll go to Linda.
Hi, my name is Linda. I am currently a story trainee at Warner Brothers Animation. I've been in the program since August, and my last date will be in February, so it'll be like a 6 month apprenticeship. And I went to LCAD in Laguna Beach, and my favorite animated TV show or movie is Batman Under the Red Hood.
Hi everyone, I'm Alicia. I'm in Los Angeles. I'm a content for change trainee at Paramount. So I work in like the podcast for Nickelodeon sector. And I went to College of the Canyons.
Awesome. Really quickly before we go into it, what I did forget to mention was that we recently opened up our 2025 program applications for, sorry, there's a car, for the Brick Apprenticeship Program. So we are accepting submissions on a rolling basis. We will have an info session on Wednesday with more information. So today we're just going to be focusing on the apprentices and their experience in the program. So I want to go around and just start us off with what sparked your passion for your current career path and the occupation that you're pursuing now in your apprenticeship program. And what has your experience been like completing your on-the-job training within that pathway? And we'll go to whoever wants to go first. Linda, let's go.
Yeah, I can go first. Okay, so what sparked my passion is that I started drawing when I was younger. Never really saw it as a career until my junior year of high school, where I saw like the behind the scenes of Batman the anime series where Bruce Timm went over the storyboards. And I was like, oh, I really want to do this for my job. So I went to college and now I'm at Warner Brothers. And I think the coolest thing about working at Warner Brothers is that I get to do scratch voices. And what scratch voices are is that it's like temporary audio they do for the dialogue, so they can use and edit. So that's really cool that I get to voice some of the characters. And it's been really cool. I work in like a feature department, so I think it's like a really different experience from TV because everything is a lot more like slower, more chill. And in a way, you're kind of working for the movie rather than like working for the deadline. So I feel like you really get to pour a lot of yourself into the work without having to like have two crazy deadlines. But that's ironic because right now it's super busy compared to like the last 2 months. And I had worked overtime on Saturday. So that's new. I did not expect to do that. But overall, it's a really good experience.
I mean, and that just goes to show that there are going to be times when it gets really busy and that you have to meet certain deadlines. And that's totally acceptable. But I love what you said about how you grew up watching animated shows and movies and didn't really know that this career existed. And now you're here. Alicia, we'll go to you.
Yeah, so very similar to Linda, like I grew up watching just TV shows in general and movies and was like, this is what I want to do for a living. I want to be being a part of the storytelling. And so now like working in entertainment, it's really cool because you see like the changes over the years and like how different forms of like how the industry has changed, how it's like not all movies now, like there's other forms of content that people consume that still has like a lot to do with what we're doing. So I think that's really cool.
I love that. And Sherry?
Yeah, so I have similar stories like everyone else. I grew up in China and I grew up watching a lot of Chinese cartoon and Japanese anime. And so it wasn't until I moved to the US and met a friend um, during high school where at the time she was working for Disney and she was really kind enough to give me a tour to the Disney studio and show me how she was working on those cool movies like Moana and show me her shot, and it was really cool to see like, oh, animation can be a job. So she recommended me to go into animation and that's how I got into animation and start learning more about how like just what animation really is. And yeah, I think lucky enough I was able to land a job at DreamWorks right after I finished my 4th year in college. And um yeah, so my I'm mostly helping with pipeline stuff for DreamWorks TV, and just learning a lot about how how DreamWorks TV pipeline works from pre-production to production and post-production, and also helping them to develop a new pipeline and test things out, which has been really fun. And we have a small team, so everyone is like it's like a family to each other. So it's a good environment and lots of opportunity for growth and learning. Yeah.
It's great that, we've been able to have, all of you have been able to have such wonderful experiences with your employers, and that you've been learning so much and learning new skill sets, because that's really what the apprenticeship program is. So for BRIC's apprenticeship program, BRIC is employer led. So essentially with these new 2025 applications opening up, participants apply into BRIC's apprenticeship program, and you sort of join our community pool in our roster. So when there are placement opportunities with employers, we will refer you to those should you be accepted into the program. So that is one of the ways that BRIC is supporting getting more apprentices. So I wanted to hear from each of you how BRIC has supported you during your program. I know that you're all at different phases within the apprenticeship program, but if you could just elaborate on that. Linda, would you like to go first again?
Yeah, I would say that like without Brick, I wouldn't have this opportunity I do now, because they definitely helped me break into the industry. Before this, I was like a plush designer, even though I went to school for animation. But with how the industry is, there wasn't many opportunities. So I tried to like do different things like children's book art and plush design. And then later I got this, which is amazing. And also, Break also helps you go to like different like animation events. So one of them is Lightbox, and I was like one of the apprentices that like tabled at Lightbox and was able to sell my own things there, which is really cool. And then another thing that I haven't taken the opportunity to do was to take classes, and Break covers the cost for the classes you take. So I'm hoping to take maybe like a brainstorm class next year for storyboarding. But yeah, Break has done a lot.
Yeah, that's definitely part of the related supplemental instruction, the academic training that we provide, is that when you're going through your on-the-job training, if there is a skill set that you want to learn, or if there's something in your job that you feel you need to grow in, you can communicate that to BRIC, and BRIC will help you get into that course. Alicia, would you like to go?
Yeah, so again, I feel very similar to Linda. Like I wouldn't have had this opportunity without Brick. I have had like entertainment experience before, but the position that I'm doing at Paramount, I like got it through Brick. Like that's how I got the position. So that definitely like opened a lot of doors for me, and obviously they've helped with like a lot of other things, like my behind the wheel, like learning to drive, and just like a lot of like she said, like they help you a lot. Like I didn't have my license, so like not being able to get to and from work is like a struggle. So them like taking care of my driver's ed has been like super, super helpful.
So that's one of the biggest things that BRIC apprenticeship program does provide, is this thing called supportive services. So if you have a need in your personal life that will prevent you from doing your professional work experience, whether that be transportation, like Alicia was saying, if you need transportation assistance, if you need clothing assistance, food assistance, that is something that you could communicate with BRIC and your case managers, and we could help you get those resources that you need to be able to succeed in your on-the-job training. Sherry.
Yeah, so Brig has been able to provide me with a mentor and help me. I think the mentorship helps me a lot. It's just be able to meet with people from the industry and mentor in the industry and just make connection in general. I think it's a really great thing. Another thing is that I think Brig is very supportive of their apprentice continuing taking classes that help enhance and strengthen their skills. So I think this is one thing that Brick is helping me a lot with, that Brick really encourages me to keep taking classes and see where are areas that I can work on, improve on.
And I think that's really important because we're always learning. It doesn't matter what stage of your career and your life you're at, you're always learning new skill sets. And if you're at a job and there's something that you don't know, or maybe you try a different industry out and you don't know something, it's always encouraged to try out new classes and courses for that. And so Sherry's is a great example of that, that I know that your apprenticeship program is coming to an end, but there's still so many courses that you could take to continue growing and learning in your career path. Awesome. So in line with the conversation around support, it's always so important to have a very strong support system and mentors in your life. And like we've said, BRIC does offer or provide a mentor for 12 months, just so that you can have that person that you can talk to as you start to navigate your career and start climbing up the ladder. It's really important to have people on your side. So could we talk about why mentorship is important to you and what qualities you look for in a mentor? We'll start with Sherry first, since you already have your BRIC mentor.
Yeah, so my mentor is a artist manager at DreamWorks Animation, and through the Women in Animation organization, I guess. Yeah, I think having a mentor is really important because they've been in the industry for a long time. And I think as someone who just graduated from college or just step into industry, there's a lot that we don't know about, especially when we are seeing so many things going on in the industry. Sometimes you might get lost, and I think having a mentor would be a great person to talk to because they have seen the ups and downs, and they've been able to I guess encourage us and help us find ways to navigate through uncertainty and unpredictability. So and also just to make connections in general. Sometimes my mentor would bring in speakers from the studio, and they can share their story and how they got to where they are. So I think it's just great to hear about other people's story and just to learn from them in general. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that that's a really great point because everybody gets into this industry through a different path, and that there is no linear way to get here. And so I think it's really great that you learn from your mentor or from other people that you could start off in one industry and then have transferable skills that can get you into the arts, media, and entertainment space. So I think that's great that you're learning from other people about that. Linda, would you like to go?
Yeah, for me, I don't have a break mentor yet, but I do have a mentor at Warner Brothers who helps me a lot with like weekly assignments that they give me. So so we'll meet like every week, and if I have like an assignment that's due, he'll like check in with me like every day just to make sure I'm on track. And what I realized that's really funny is that um, he'll give me feedback on top of like the director's notes. So it's like more work, but he'll know that director will like it. That's why he always like suggests me doing it. And I think it's just really good to have a mentor to really have like a different perspective on how you do things because he'll see things that like you won't be able to see in your own work. And I think my team at Warner Bros. Like really supportive. My director, my production supervisor, my coworkers, they're all really nice and like understanding. And I think what they do that I really like is that they give me positive reinforcement. So it really makes me want to like do better work for them. So yeah.
I think, mentor is such a label term because yes, BRIC gives you a mentor. The studio that you're working at could assign you a mentor. But the other thing is anybody could be your mentor. It could be your supervisor. It could be one of your colleagues. And it doesn't need to have this formal layer of like, oh, this person's my mentor and I'm their mentee. It just be anybody that you can confide in, that you can have a conversation with about your career. And Linda, what I think it's great about the mentor that you have right now at Warner Brothers is that this person is aware of all the work that you're doing. And so they can actually look at the projects that you've been doing for your department and give you notes on that because they know that that's what the director's going to like, and that's just the way that they can help you improve in your process. Alicia.
Hi. So I again, similar situation to Linda. I haven't been appointed a brick mentor yet, but my studio Paramount did assign me a mentor, and she's really awesome because I check in with her once a week and we kind of talk about like my goals, what I'm learning while I'm here, what I'm working on, and she's in a different department as me. So she can offer like a really good perspective, like in the direction that I want to go. She's had a lot of experience doing things I want to do and like providing me with resources like, hey, I know you want to do this. I've seen this online, like maybe you may be interested. And then also to touch on what you mentioned, like although like the word mentor is like sometimes it gets a little weird, but like even my supervisor, I feel like she's been very much a mentor to me and really good at like connecting me with people that are in our department and not in our department to just work at the studios and like giving me time to have one-on-ones with them, which has been like really good. So since I've been there, I feel like a lot of mentorship from a lot of different people that aren't just my mentor.
I love that. Similar to you, my supervisor is also a woman. And so it's really great to be able to look up to someone in that way and be able to ask all your questions as you're navigating this. And anytime that you have a problem or something that you need support or assistance with, that you can rely on that person. So our next question is a little bit loaded, but as all of us being here as women of color, there are sometimes these inherent challenges with breaking in and leveling up in the workplace. So curious how everybody is staying motivated and how you're finding power in your unique identities. Yeah.
Sorry, I actually want to let someone else go first.
You want to think about it. Okay, that's fine. Does anybody else want to go first? I know it's a little bit tough.
Yeah, I can go first. Yeah, so I guess growing up in Asian household, I feel like my family didn't really know anything about art. I have six older sisters and they all have like normie jobs. They're like in like medicine or like law and accounting. Like there was never really like an artist in the family. So I guess it was like hard to find like support resources growing up. But I think now with so much information like online, you can really like learn how to draw a lot better now. And surprisingly, I feel like a lot of my classmates when I was in high school did a lot of art, and a lot of them actually went to go to like art center. And I think art center has like this like teens program where they have like workshops or classes for like teenagers, which is like really cool. And and I guess always working on your portfolio, I
Yeah.
would say is like the best thing to do. And
Mhm.
taking like online classes, I find helpful over like brainstorm and concept design academy. Mhm.
I'm so curious, unrelated, but so curious, how did your parents react when you said that you wanted to work in this industry?
Mm, at first, they didn't like it because they were
Yeah.
like, "Oh, artists don't make any money." But then, like, they hear the word Disney and they're like, "Oh, okay, we get it now." After seeing how much like money like Disney makes.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I guess they were supportive like when I went to college for it because I did go to art school. Hmm.
Definitely a difficult conversation to have with parents who are not, who rather don't understand what it is to work in this industry. Sherry, would you like to go?
Yeah, so when I was in college, one of my best friend from my mentorship program is also a woman of color. So it's been great to have a close friend who are kind of in the same situation as me. And it's really nice to see how our families are really supportive of us pursuing art and animation. So yeah, I think it's great to just find those kind of friends and see how they navigate their journey. And after I started working at DreamWorks, I've also met a lot of women of color here at DreamWorks, and I've been able to chat with them and connect with them. I think it's really great to see the diversity here and how everyone's bringing uh, their own cultural background to the studio. I think yeah, it's just cool to connect and relate to all these great women.
Yes, I agree with Sherry. Like, I feel like we're surrounded by really great women in our industry, and I do feel like the entertainment industry is really diverse. Like everyone I work with, it looks very different. Like my boss is a woman of color, my mentor is a woman of color. I sit next to a woman of color in the office. Like everywhere I look, there's someone of a different background, ethnic or cultural. And I think it's super cool to just be in spaces with people that all look very differently and have very different backgrounds, and like we can learn each other and like learn about each other's culture. And like it's the smallest things, like someone might bring like a snack you're not familiar with to like work, and you're just like, I would have never tried this if I didn't work with someone who looked different than me and grew up very differently than me. So I really, really enjoy being in spaces like that, and I feel like the entertainment industry is a space that's like that.
Yeah, and I think the other really important thing that we've touched on is community and having people to rely on and people to support you and that you could also support. So I know that a lot of the studios and production companies offer these business resource groups. And so there's those opportunities to connect with other people. And then even within the artist space, there's Asians in animation, Latinx in animation, Black in animation. There's so many other organizations that we could all join and find community in that way. Yes.
I also wanted to touch on one more thing, because I started on early October. So at Paramount, they have like an inclusivity week, and it's just like all week there's like all different, like there's all these like meetings you can join, and like it's obviously a really big company. So there's like people in like London, people in New York, and like all different backgrounds, and like we talk about so many different like things like during the meeting. Like I went to one that was on like body language, and it was held by a woman of color, and she was just touching on like, you know, how like I don't know, it was just really cool like having like that for work, and that like our boss like sent us email like, you know, if you're gonna put any of these Zoom calls on your schedule, like enjoy it, like, you know, this week is only one time a year. So like there's a ton of like resources and spaces to make everyone feel included, I feel.
And learning opportunities too. And I love that your boss was so open to having you and the team want to join these so that then you could all come back with these collective ideas and new perspectives and then bring them to the table to help the work that you're all doing now. Awesome. Well, last question I have is a lot of people on this call are interested in applying to Berk's apprenticeship program since we just opened up applications for 2025. So as you are all in different phases of this program, could you share some advice for any of the future applicants looking to apply? Whether it be something that you feel helped your application stand out, maybe how to do interviews, resumes, portfolio.
I can go first.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had a couple people reach out to me about like applying to Brick and if I had any tips. And I feel like at the end of the day, your portfolio is what matters the most, because that's what employers will like look at when they're looking for like applicants. And I think for me personally, when I was interviewing with Warner Brothers, they said that they like the camera movements in my storyboards, and that's because the movie that we're doing has so many camera movements. So they really wanted like people to like know how to like move the camera perspective and how like you rotate an object without using like Blender. They really wanted you to like know how to draw it by yourself. Yeah, it's just because the film we're doing is like really ambitious. Yeah.
I think that's great
So
because it's like it's the foundational part of it, right? It's not
mm,
necessarily just doing it on the system.
yeah, so they really want you to draw in perspective and really knowing how to draw the characters or like a human anatomy. So life drawing is super important because for our movie right now, we have like very like human proportions. So
Mhm.
I would say like style wise, it's very close to like Spider-Verse and Arcane that they're going for. Um, yeah, and I think the classes that helped me the most, like I don't know, I feel like this applies to a lot of people but when I went to school, they didn't have many storyboarding classes. And so I felt like didn't really have a good portfolio just like coming out of school. So I really had to take extra classes from like CD or Brainstorm. So I feel like those classes like really helped me a lot because they're more like lecture based and there's more um like more lecture based, more structure to it. While when I went to ALCAD, it kind of felt like the teachers were giving you advice based on what they see rather than like what they already know. So you kind of had to like beat the information out of them. Yeah. So never stop working on your portfolio.
Thank you.
I would say, so two things. So one, the first thing is like I think that we live in a or work in an industry with like a lot of personalities. So like when it comes to like interviewing and things like that, like I would say like not being afraid to be yourself and just like being personable because like they always say in this industry it's like not what you know, it's who you know, and like that is true. Like sometimes just like interviewing with someone and like talking and like bringing your personality, like you might think it's weird because that's how I felt when I did my interview for Paramount. I was like talking for a really long time and it went over like the 30 minutes we were supposed to be interviewing and I was like, I'm not getting this. And I did get it. And when I got like my feedback, they said that my supervisor like really enjoyed talking to me. And so I think that like sometimes like in this industry, like people when they're interviewing you, like maybe when they're talking to you, like they're not always like looking like, oh, like what's on your resume, which is like your go-to kind of like elevator speech. Like sometimes they just want to see like how you interact with others, like what you know about the industry because it could like pertain to what you're going to be doing there and like things like that I think can be really beneficial. And then the second advice I would give to people who are applying is like don't be scared if you don't feel like you have like entertainment like industry experience because you could work as a cashier and have like really good people skills, which is very important in this industry and something that people look for. So like I've had a lot of jobs in a lot of different industries and spaces, and like something that I've always like noticed that I think has helped in this industry is like when you apply, just look at how those skills could work in the role that you're looking to be in the space that you're looking to be in, but not necessarily like I've never had an entertainment job, so what, like I've done this job and this skill I know would work there, as I think something to remember. And also good luck to all you guys applying.
I love
And
what oh, sorry, go ahead, Linda.
oh, no, I would just like to jump in about the interview process. I feel like whenever I interview for these type of roles, they never ask you like generic interview questions, like what's your strength, what's your weakness, like tell me about yourself. Like the questions they ask like pretty much pertains like to you because they've seen your portfolio and everything like that. So like really do be like yourself.
It's interviewing you as a whole person. It's not just what
Yeah.
are your skills, what can you do? But Alicia, what I wanted to touch on is it's those transferable skills that are really going to set you up for success and help you stand out. Because like you were saying, if you don't have any entertainment experience and say you are a cashier, as a cashier, your responsibilities are huge. You could do financials. You could easily put together a budget. You work very well under pressure. You're good with time management. Like there's so many skills that you have that you could apply into different occupations that could help you stand out in an entertainment job. Sherry, would you like to go?
Yeah, for me, when I interview with DreamWorks, I think like if I were to tell myself one thing, again, I would tell myself to just have a little bit more confident, because my interview with DreamWorks was my first interview, like actual interview for a job. So I was really nervous, especially interviewing as a college student with a bunch of DreamWorks supervisor, and I was just scared. I was like, I don't know anything. Like, what can I even offer? They know everything. So I think I got a little bit I got a little bit scared and nervous during the interview. So I think, yeah, I think just a little more confident in yourself and knowing that if you get an interview, that means they like your work and they just want to get to know a little bit more about you, know about your personality, and know about they want to learn about your work process. So just be confident once you have an interview. Just don't get too nervous.
That's a huge thing because when recruiters or the hiring manager, when they choose you to interview, it's because they like you. They saw something in your portfolio and your resume, or maybe in our screener notes, there's something there that they're interested in. And so even when you know that you're going to do that interview, just be proud of yourself for even getting to that point, because that is a huge accomplishment. And like Sherry said, being confident is a huge thing. Not too confident, please don't be cocky, but being able to radiate that comfortability and that confidence that like, yeah, I can do this. I can do this job, and here is why you should hire me. There was one more thing I wanted to say. Oh, yes. So one of the things that BRIC does do when employers are interested in some of our apprentices is BRIC will sometimes screen the people beforehand. And with that screener, it also includes prepping you for that interview stage. So if you have any confidence challenges, or if there are any scenarios that you want to role play, BRIC will do that with you, just so that you're better prepared for the interview. Awesome. Well, those are all the questions. Does anybody else have any final things to add before I go into the Q&A? No? All right. Let me review some questions. I know that Sarah's been answering some of them while we've been going through this, so I really appreciate that. So I'm going to go off of, are there BRIC apprenticeships mostly in LA? Are there any opportunities in Northern California? So it really is dependent on the employer and where the employer is based. Most of our employers are based in Southern California. I will say that we will have some, or rather I shouldn't say we will, we may have some opportunities expanding into Northern California, so TBD. But like I said, most of our opportunities are within the SoCal region. I work for the California State Department of Rehab Secondary. Do you know anything like this in California or connections? BRIC apprenticeship program is in California right now for the I should probably take that for the person who asked about the Department of Rehab / Sacramento. Great. What types of documents or projects would you recommend including in the portfolio for the production manager career track? Alicia, would you like to take that one?
Yes, that's a really excellent question. So sorry, I'm gonna like read it one more time just to get it all in. So a project wise, I think that like anything that like, because it's so many things that you think are not, like, for example, something I've been working on is like the end credits for podcasts. So it's like making sure we have everybody's name and it's like said properly. And a big part of that was literally just being able to go in Excel and like format the document. And when you're working on production, like you'll have a production Bible, which again is like something that you're going into like Excel or Drive and like formatting. So something that I think can be very, very valuable is like that skill, like that typing skill, that like Excel skill, just being able to like format documents and like organize things. I also like have a background in marketing, so that was kind of like a skill that I took from marketing, because we'll come up with like social media like calendar. So literally it's like very similar to that. Like in that way I feel like I'm always like creating like little documents and sheets. So if you have anything that you've ever done, like I know sometimes people do, I forget the name for it, but like when you analyze like a script, I don't know what you call it, but like there's a word for it. But like when you like go through a script and like, you know, you kind of get like a script coverage. Exactly. So like something like script coverage, I think could be, thank you so much for that. Script coverage could be very helpful, or any other thing that you're doing related to entertainment within like sheets and like creating documents and like in that organizational area is something that I would recommend if you're going into the production management space.
Awesome, thank you. And then the other question I have is, are there any remote / hybrid apprenticeships, or are they all in person? So also just depends on the employer. Alicia, would you like to go?
Yeah, sorry. I was just saying like I'm hybrid. Like I only go in the office once a week, so.
I think everybody's hybrid. Linda,
Yeah,
are you?
I'm
Yeah.
hybrid. I'm in the office Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Mondays and Fridays, I work from home. Today's the exception because we have a deadline on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So it's really busy right now.
Yeah, so it kind of depends, but ever since COVID, I think most of the industry has been hybrid, unless you're working in production and you do have to be there all the time. But for the most part, yes. But it just depends on the employer. Are there opportunities for people that are not from California or international? So going back to that slide where it shows eligibility, it is, you need to be a California resident or approved US citizency in some way, or the right to work in the US. For CG generalists, I would love to know what type of projects you'd recommend to show in your portfolio. Sherry, would you like to answer that?
Yeah, so my portfolio is mostly kind of like environment related. So when I put together my portfolio, a lot of the works were from my college assignment actually and capstone projects. So I have some CG environment pieces and texturing pieces and breakdowns of textures, which I think is important to show some kind of breakdown where you're trying to show your shaders and textures and stuff. And yeah, I also have some, yeah, just modeling and shading are the big part of my portfolio. Depending on which CG track you want to go into. But if you want to go into rigging and animation, that might be a little bit different. But if you want to go into shading, modeling, environment, asset making, then I would recommend you um making asset and use those assets to tell a story, such as putting them together in an environment or setting it up in a little scene. Just yeah. So
Thank you. And actually, Sherry, Linda, do you have any recommendations for, sites to use for where you upload your portfolio, or is it a PDF? Like, what is it that you two do?
For me, I use Speaker Deck to do my storyboarding just because it's really easy to like flip for panels. And then I use Weebly for my website. So I'll just take Speaker's Deck, like HTML, like put into like Weebly. So it kind of has everything there for you.
Awesome.
yeah, for me, I have to put together a demo reel. It's kind of like a video that showcase your CG pieces. Usually it's good to keep it around a minute or under. But some people do go over a minute, but make sure it's not too long. Yeah, because I don't know how much the recruiter can look at. So yeah, it's good to have a 1 minute demo reel. And I just upload mine to YouTube. I know some people will upload their demo reel to Vimeo, and I just yeah. So and then I would put the link, or I would put the link on my website, and I use Weebly for my website. So yeah, so that's how I did it.
Thank you. Someone mentioned they receive weekly assignments. How does this work with people who are students at school? So apprenticeship, it again really depends on employer. We do target primarily full-time work or full-time 35, 30 hours a week. Part-time sometimes is possible, but it really just depends on the employer needs. So Brick actually has a marketing apprentice right now, and she works part-time, so around 16 to 20 hours a week. So again, it really just depends on the employer. And our apprentice is in school right now. So how many interviews will be conducted for the apprenticeship? So also just depends on the employer and what their needs are. We'll typically do one screener interview, and then we're used to move on to the next round of meeting with an employer. I think it's typically one or two. What would everybody say? 1, 2, yeah.
I went through like one
Yeah.
interview just with Warner Brothers, and that's it.
Yeah.
I went through 4 interviews.
Oh my God.
Okay, so it's different for every
Yeah.
employer.
Because I think for me, I was the only one they picked from like the shortlist.
Mhm.
So that's why I didn't have any like competition for the role. So I
Yeah.
just went in for the interview for like a vibe check.
Okay, cool. And Alicia had 4. Alicia, who did you meet with all the 4 interviews?
So, okay, I think the first was with Brick, and then after like I got like the okay, then it was someone from Paramount, like someone from HR at Paramount. And it was like 2 like HR like random, because I don't remember who they are. Just like random
Okay.
people. And then the last one was with my supervisor. And
Got it.
yeah.
That's a lot.
Yes.
And Sherry, was it just one?
Yeah, I have a screening call with the recruiter and then an interview with the team.
Yeah, that's pretty common. Screener with Brick, screener with HR/recruitment team or outreach team, and then hiring manager were you to move on to that final round. Out of all the tracks, is it hard to place production manager track, folks? Actually, no. Production management is one of our most popular career tracks. And so that's one of the easiest ones to place, at least more recently. So what if your skill sets are industry ready? Would you still recommend applying to this apprenticeship? I mean, yeah, if you want to apply to this apprenticeship and you want to work in the arts, media, and entertainment space, animation, VFX, gaming, absolutely. Because like we were saying, you might have a lot of transferable skills that you could easily apply into any of these occupations. So would highly recommend it. For Sherry, this is a question for you. You mentioned breaking down your work of shaders, assets, etc. Do you add any code for the shaders?
A code as in coding or, but for my shader, one of the breakdown that I did for my shader, I have a procedural shading project that I did, and then the breakdown, I think it's just to show layers of your shaders. So for example, I would show my diffuse map, and then I would show my roughness map, and then I would show my displacement map, and yeah, just layer after layer and seeing how you create your shader, I guess. It's pretty similar to how when you want to do a breakdown of your CG model, you can do your base model and then wireframe and then material and then lighting and stuff. So just layers after layer and see how it adds up. I think the recruiter or people that are hiring that are really interested to see your workflow and your work process and how you create your piece.
Awesome. This question, I guess, will also go to you, Sherry. It says, I am a CG artist who focuses on lighting and VFX with the CG generalist track and the tech artist / VFX track. How accommodating are things with what you are focusing on? If in the industry you are not interested in animated, would you be put into a role where you would have to animate, or can it be accommodating for what you are focusing on? I think that really depends on your employer and what they're wanting you to focus on. But Sherry, could you share more about, the CG generalist track and this?
Yeah. I think for my role at DreamWorks right now, I'm doing something that aligns with what I want to do. So I think you will be doing something that you are interested in doing. And so yeah, that I think Brick will work with you and figure out what you're interested in doing, and they will set you up with a role that matches the specific track you want to go into, I would say.
I would agree with that. Do you have any advice on how to tailor the resume that showcases your transferable skills? Yes. So sorry, I have to click answer live when I'm going through them. So I think the example we were talking about is the cashier situation. You could say that you have really good time management skills, that you work very well under pressure and under high stress, fast paced environments, that you're good with financials. You could potentially create a production budget based on that. Customer service is a big one. Just being nice to people and being kind goes a really long way. And so I think you could easily say something like that. Does anybody else have any other skills that you could use for that?
I think there's a ton, and if you ever need like help figuring it out, I would use ChatGPT. Like, I work this job, this is what I did. How do you think it relates to this job? And it'll give you like a bunch of answers, and you can kind of like put it in your own words. But like, if you ever need help brainstorming, that's what I would do.
Yeah, and I've
So
seen, oh, sorry.
copy and paste it directly. But okay, go ahead, Linda.
Yeah, and I've seen like a lot of people who haven't had any like work experience, they'll put like projects that they did in school as one of like the experience that they have. and then like showing like, how to use a program. So for me, for storyboarding, they really want to know that you can use like Storyboard Pro or something.
Any experience is an experience. So that's actually a really, really great idea of any student projects that you've done, any films, words, any scripts, like all of that is relevant experience that you could add into your resume. And last question I have is, if you are accepted into the program but don't get a job offer, do you still have access to the resources discussed? Unfortunately, no. So only the supportive services are available to the apprentices who are actually completing the on-the-job training and the related supplemental instruction. Awesome. And I think I have gone through everything. Does anyone, okay, just kidding. Another production manager question. How would you approach applying for this career track if you have never had professional experience in doing script coverage, budgets, or briefs, aside from indirectly related transferable skills? How would you demonstrate knowledge in the field without portfolio projects related to production?
Yeah, I don't have like a portfolio that I've ever used to apply to any job. I think that just like being able to communicate how you would do the job, like how you have these skills, like how, my approach in the interview process was like, these are the skills I have. This is what the role is going to be, or like what I think I'm going to have to do. And from these skills, I'm going to do that. So I would just like, I would really just like look into like, like if you, like you said, if you're like a cashier, or if you've ever, used spreadsheets to put something together or organize any information, like I would just use any experience I have. And then, like I think like just showing a willingness, because that's something else that I think has helped me like in my career. Like when I come into interviews with that approach, like I've never done this before, but I have done this, and I know that this would equate to this. I think that's like a really like, for a hiring manager or supervisor, they're like, I've seen people kind of like admire that, like, oh, okay, well then you can do it because you said you could, and you said that you've done this, and you said that, like that, just even having that ability, sorry, I'm like kind of rambling, but having that ability to like take like, I did this job, and like this is what I did in this job, and this is how I could bring it to this production management position. Like even just having that skill, I think is like really impressive to a lot of people and could get you very far.
I think the other thing to add to that is, when you do go into your interview, talking about your transferable skills, but also talking about the company and talk about what it is that you like about that studio or production, what shows or films you like. And if you have not seen any shows or films from that studio, make sure you watch something, or that you're aware of what's going on before you go into that interview. I saw in the application you can make a video recording instead of a cover letter. Did any of you make a video, and how long should it be? I actually don't know. Did anybody make a video? No. Sarah, I'm sorry, maybe you could help me with this because I'm not familiar. Is it a minute? Oh, someone said 3 to 5.
Yep, that's right. Just chiming in.
Thank
We usually try to have folks send in videos that aren't 3 to 5 minutes in length, or I mean, it should be 3 to 5 minutes in length maximum. But it is supposed to be an alternative to a cover letter, for example. So if you feel like you're not great at writing, submitting a video submission is another great alternative to get us to learn more about you.
Awesome. Does anyone else have any last minute questions? Or do my panelists / apprentices have anything else that they'd like to share? All right. I'm going to go back and share my screen really quickly. Can everybody see that? Yeah. So this is the last slide. Thank you everybody for coming. We really appreciate you, my co-hosts, for taking the time to talk about your experiences and your wonderful apprenticeship program that you've been a part of. And thank you everybody for joining us for National Apprenticeship Week. We hope you enjoyed. And if you have any further questions about the program and the resources that BRIC offers, please feel free to send us an email at contact@bricfoundation.org. And if you are interested in applying for the 2025 round, here is the link to apply. And I will also put that in the chat for everyone so that you could just copy and paste that and be ready to go. Oh, and like Sarah said, if you have any additional questions more specific about the apprenticeship program and the applications, there is an info session happening on Wednesday, and Sarah just put the link in the chat if you'd like to register for that. And I can stick around if people have other questions. I see. What are the benefits of submitting before the 8th priority deadline? I can't answer that, but maybe Sarah can.
There are no benefits to submitting before the December 8th deadline, but the December 8th deadline is kind of our priority deadline since we are now accepting applications on a rolling basis. The December 8th deadline is kind of our first priority deadline to make sure that the BRIC leadership team is reviewing your application in the first wave, and that you will be able to have a decision on your application by early January. So that is the benefit of applying by that December 8th deadline.
Thank you. And for the call-in Wednesday, assuming there will be a recording, we record everything, right?
Yes.
Yeah, great. There will be a recording and it will probably be posted on the website. Any other questions, or should we finish off early? Well, I think we can wrap up. That's the case. We put the email in the chat and the website to apply, but it was wonderful talking to everybody. And I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their apprenticeship week. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Thank you.